What do happy couples know? What differentiates the masters from the disasters? Today we hear from a husband and wife about their relationship secrets and who are brave enough to pull back the curtain on their marriage. Ladies, are you being intentional in your marriage but looking for a community of accountability? I'm now taking applications to join my Wives Who Thrive workshop. Book a call to learn more. And don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss our weekly dose of marriage advice we've had to learn the hard way.
Hi everyone, I'm Michaela and this is Matt, my husband, and we know Danielle and Russ from Matthew, who worked with Danielle years ago, and we just happened to reconnect more recently within the last few years, and they have been really great in terms of being a support system for us and also mentors for us in our journey being a married couple. So Danielle asked if we might be willing to share a little bit about how we do real life as a couple, and she sent us over some questions, and we figured that we would help her out by doing videos and seeing how it goes. So we're gonna start this out by sharing a little bit about ourselves and our journey and then go into the questions. First question, how did we meet each other?
We were introduced by Michaela's twin sister, Joanna, after Joanna and I served on a leadership team together. And then Joanna actually got married and moved away, but she said she wanted to introduce me to her twin, which I didn't believe. But a couple months later, we actually were connected and went on our first date in a helicopter.
And it was long distance. So he basically called a stranger and asked her out on a date because we had never met or didn't know anything about each other. So it was interesting.
Next question is, how did I propose?
So Matthew staged a fake family photo shoot, remembering that he lived in a different state. So I lived in Florida, my family was there, and it just so happened that my twin sister and my niece and her husband were in town. Everybody was in town visiting my parents, and so my family said, let's do a family photo shoot, and we decided to make it this grand, formal thing. So I put on this nice dress, this long dress that I got all done up, and I was ready for our family photo shoot. And so we all show up at this park in Florida, and my family was running late. So I kind of walk up, my twin sister was there with me, and there's this cello player playing this amazingly beautiful music in the middle of this park that's on the water in Florida. And I thought, he's really into his art. He's just sitting there all alone playing music. And I kind of look up and look off into the distance. I didn't have my glasses on, but there's this guy walking towards me, and I kind of go like this, and I think, that really looks like Matthew, but I'm not really sure what's going on. And as he's walking up, my family is walking up, the cello player is playing, the photographer is there taking pictures, and he proposed. It was beautiful. I cried. I'm not a super tearful person, but it was amazing. Okay, so next question is, how long have we been married? And tell about how we got married.
Okay, so we've been married for almost 2 years now. October 28th is our wedding anniversary. And we decided to do, essentially, that Michaela wanted a surprise wedding for our wedding. So I planned all the coordination for the food, the venue, the music, and pretty much most of the details, minus a few things that her twin sister helped out with, coordinating for the bridesmaids, or surprise maids is what Michaela gives them the name of that. So you want to share a little bit about what that felt like as far as having your wedding planned for you?
It was amazing. I didn't have to worry about anything. I had no clue what date we were getting married. I had them tell me about a week in advance just so that I could pack a bag, but I didn't know where we were getting married, who was going to be there. I didn't know anything, and it was awesome because I could just show up and focus on the fact that I was marrying my love, and that was incredible. He had all the stress of the planning, but I was having a great time.
Yeah, no bridezilla, but there was a groomzilla.
The neighbors pressure washing and we realized that there's a lot of sound coming, so Matthew's trying to work it out. What are we both really excited about?
I think we're both really excited about growing our life together, and I think we're both excited about growing businesses together and developing in multiple dimensions, both physical well-being, spirituality, monetary growth, all of those things.
I would say that one of the things that we've tried to be super intentional about in our marriage is understanding our purpose and what we were placed on this earth to do as individuals and as a couple, and really going after that. So we are really excited about finding ways to bless people, bless the world, bless our community, and we've been super intentional about that. I think every time we have an opportunity to go after that purpose and make a difference in that way, we get really excited. Are you becoming the husband or the spouse that you would have hoped to be? Why or why not?
I hope so. I'm constantly trying to learn and to take my wife's information not as criticism, but more as from a loving stance, and also to try and develop a more open communication with our relationship and try to grow together. I'm trying to be more submissive in things with our marriage so that I can make her happy, in turn make our relationship stronger.
Why is submissive something that you bring up?
It's because I have particular things that I want, and there's particular things that she wants, and I think you can't always have exactly what you want in order to make the relationship work, that sometimes you have to compromise with how you handle a situation that your way may not be exactly the same way that the other person wants. So you have to adjust and accept that influence, that the other person's thoughts on a certain situation can also be correct, not just your way is always the correct way.
Yeah, we were, before we got married, very independent people, and still are very independent thinkers. And so making each other a priority takes work, which we're both willing to do. If I were answering that question, I would say that I'm on my way to being the wife that I want to be, and I still struggle, which I think that we all do. In marriage, it's easy to be selfish, and it's easy to just want to kind of take care of yourself. And so there are times that I feel grumpy, and instead of being kind, I act in my grumpiness or I act in my irritation. And those are not things that I want other people doing to me, but it just comes out of me. And so I know that I want to keep working on being more intentional about being gentle when I'm interacting with my husband and making sure that he's feeling loved and honored by the way that I communicate.
So next question is, are there any rooms in your life that you believe are off limits for exploring with me?
Mostly not, but here's what I will say. Matthew and I, we teach differently and we share information differently, and I am very resistant when he tries to teach me certain things. For instance, for probably the first year and a half of our marriage, we worked out at the same gym and we would go work out together, which I liked. And also, if he would try to coach me in working out the way he thought I should work out, or give me feedback, I would get super resistant. And so I think he learned to kind of not go there. And so I stay a little bit open with him, but in some areas, I'm more resistant to his correction. What about you?
I would say that there aren't necessarily rooms that are off limits. You're very open with sharing, maybe too much sometimes.
No way!
If there's information that maybe you could have just kept to yourself. But as a counselor, I think she is so used to being able to be open and communicate, and she comes from a family of very, very good communicators, that I'm the one that tends to listen and take in more versus sharing my feelings. So I believe that.
Are there rooms in your world that I don't have access to?
I'm sure there are things that I haven't shared just because I don't think about them. If you were to ask questions, maybe I would probably think about them, but sometimes I just don't even think about certain things.
Matthew is an internal processor, and I can be both. I can internally process, but I also like to externally process. And so it's a little easier for him to know my emotional world, and sometimes I have to really kind of go after it to learn things about his emotions.
I keep everything close to the chest. The next question, is there anything in our lives that make it more difficult for us to share? I forgot.
To experience warmth in the
experience
relationship.
warmth. Yes, experience warmth. I think there is from my side, because we have very different love languages. One of my love languages is affection. And so sometimes I shower Michaela with too much affection, and she is not a physical touch person sometimes. So sometimes that overwhelms her and she doesn't want my physical touch, especially if she's hot or she's hungry or something. Those are not times when she wants physical touch. But I think for the most part, she still loves me and is open, and she actually does shower me with physical touch, just to appease my need for that love language. I think also I'm very sarcastic in nature, and so that's something that we've been working on tremendously, because she does not get my sarcasm at all.
Sarcasm does not feel warm to me, which for some people it's fine, but it just goes right over my head. I'm very literal.
So everything has to be a literal statement, or if there is sarcasm, I have to make sure that I preface it, or after the sarcasm is given, I have to explain it. So there's been a lot less sarcasm in our communication going forward with our relationship.
And I would say, as far as warmth is concerned, it's because he is an internal processor and he tends to be an introvert. Sometimes it's difficult to tune into his feelings and his needs because he doesn't just put them out there or express them as openly. So I think that might impact our ability for warmth. He doesn't need as much chatting and talking and things like that. And maybe also my own flow in life, because before we got married, we were so independent. And, you know, if I come home from work and I'm hungry, there's nothing about me that's warm. I need to eat. I need food. And so I think just kind of the way my needs are, sometimes it gets in the way. When I come home from hungry, I don't feel like giving a kiss and a hug and being nice. I want to go get some food. So I make it difficult sometimes. What do you see in the character of Christ that you wish you would also see in yourself?
Oh, me, this one's easy. Less judgment. I'm very judgmental, especially in traffic, of people that cut me off and create issues. And I know that's me just being a reflection of probably just being impatient and not understanding of other drivers out there. And so I have to be more patient, and also less judgmental, in developing sort of the skill set of understanding that other people can create animosity in your own self, and that you just have to continue to love them and not let that drive you crazy, I guess.
And I would probably say one of the things that I am aware of that I want to keep working on is loving kindness. So not only just loving my spouse, but being kind in my loving ways, if that makes sense. It sometimes is difficult for me to seem kind if I'm irritable or if I'm being selfish or if I don't feel good. And so if I were to think about, okay, what would I really like to pull from my knowledge and relationship from Christ, it's that sense of loving kindness that's kind even in the difficult times. Can you honestly say, I love you, my spouse, just the way you are, without requiring anything to change?
Yes, I think I really do. I think in my perception is that change is inevitable, and continuing to love your spouse no matter what requires that you actually love them even during a changing time. And one of the things I think for us is that we are both kind of driven individuals, and we want to see the other person accomplish all of their hopes and dreams. And so I guess in a loving sense, I do want her to change because I want her to grow, but it's not a change of personality or change in the way that she is as a human being. I just want her to change that makes her happy in the accomplishments that she can have out of life.
I would say, yes, I can honestly say that I love my husband as he is. However, I think I have to be very honest with myself in saying liking someone. You can love someone and not like things that they do. And it is difficult when I get into selfishness or when I get into pride or judgment. There are things that I just want him to change, and I will love him, but sometimes I will not like him. And that's more about me and less about him, by the way. So I do understand that, but if I'm being honest and real about myself, I know that sometimes I want change, even when it's selfish on my part.
Would you say that you love me more now than you did earlier in our marriage?
Yes.
You do?
I do.
Are you sure?
This is why I would say that. When you go through life, I think hardships, I think difficult times, I think situations can be difficult for marriages, and they can also make them grow. And I think because of my sense of your love for me and my imperfections, it just helps me see you in a lens of love so much more. So it's the sense that you accept me despite my imperfections. You see me even more now than you did before, and yet you still love me. And that just grows, I think, the depth of our love for each other, because there's more time involved with it, if that makes sense.
Okay. I'm gonna say no. I'm just kidding. I am very thankful every single day, and one of the things is having this attitude of gratitude towards the blessings that I have. And one of the biggest blessings in my life is my wife, and the love and I guess drive that she places me into to be a better individual is an overwhelming sense that makes me so happy and love her so much more. And she continues to surprise me with things of how determined that she is and what she wants to accomplish and the way that she wants to build our life together and the love that she has for other individuals. And I see new things every day that just makes me really, really appreciative, and also helps me to continue to develop a deeper and deeper love for her on a day-to-day basis.
My love language is words of affirmation. It's hard not to look at him when he's saying all these nice things about me. Mm-hmm. Do you try to fix your spouse? How does that go for you?
Oh, I know better than to do that. That doesn't work. We try to make requests of each other if we have issues that annoy us or that we would like to see changed, but we don't demand those change. We're both very independent as individuals, and we both kind of want things done our way and see our way as the right way. I believe that we have to be conscious about how we present those ideas and make genuine requests that might satisfy the needs that we both may have.
Yeah, and I would agree and say, if I were answering this honestly, I might say, I tried to persuade him to do things my way. But I have to kind of check myself, because ultimately he has the right and the choice not to be persuaded. And so I have to be mindful of my intent and what I'm really trying to achieve in approaching him with a request. And most of the time I'm just trying to achieve something that I want that's really not that important. So then I have to decide, what's my goal here? Is my goal to connect with my husband? Is my goal to keep our marriage healthy? Or is my goal to get my way? So I have to be mindful of that and careful. The question is, do you like the way your spouse responds and interacts with your family? And what could they do to improve?
You want to go first?
No, you go first.
Okay. I would say absolutely. Unfortunately, I think my family loves Michaela more than they actually love me now. So I think that I'm taking a back seat to the love and affection that they show, because she's so wonderful that they're like, well, we already know Matt, let's just love on Michaela all the time. And so I believe that her being around my family, because she is so outgoing and loving, that my family really does enjoy the time that they get to spend with her and bring the joy that she has and her outgoing personality to our family, who is mainly introverted as far as how we interact with one another. So I definitely believe that it's a good thing, the way that she handles herself around my family and all of the interaction that we have.
Matthew does great with my family. He is an acts of service guy. He shows a lot of love through acts of service, and so he's giving in that way by helping out. He'll help my mom out in the kitchen, which I'm a horrible cook, so she loves that he helps, and he's great in the kitchen. And he loves adventures and new things, so we get to do adventures with my family and, you know, take them hiking or go do something outside. And he promotes a sense of play, and that allows us to be able to play games with the family and just spend quality time. He does a really great job at that. I don't think there's anything that he could do better. You're basically perfect.
Sure. Next question is, what do you most believe that we could do in the future to impact the world for Christ?
I think one of the things that we do is we set intentions and plans for making an impact in the world. And I would say following through with what we set up in terms of our plans for impacting the world. And there's several different ways that we do that as a family. We don't have to get into them here, but in practical ways as well. I'm a counselor, so one of the things that I know is being able to give into other marriages, being able to give into other people and non-judgmentally support them is a great big passion of mine. And as long as I can keep doing that, I would love to keep doing it.
Yeah. I think mine is a dream that I've had to develop a world-changing product to help bring clean energy and clean water to people. I haven't really figured out how I'm exactly going to do that, but I'm hoping that God's going to give me a direction on how we can handle that and sort of move forward with those dreams that I have in order to better impact individuals with the ability to have clean energy and clean water.
I have a bonus question. The question is, what maybe 2 pieces of advice have you learned from Danielle and Russ at Intentional Marriages that have really impacted your life or our relationship?
That's a great question. I think one of the biggest things that we have learned is communication with your spouse is of the utmost importance when it comes to developing your relationship. So we try to be intentional with our communication and be open and honest, but also make sure that we're communicating in a calm and caring manner and not raising our voices or carrying on as far as being over the top with our anxiety or our, excitement of the situation, and try to stay in the conflict with one another and communicate effectively. The second thing would probably be some mentorship around developing a career path, and that would be that gotten great information about loving those that you are working with. And if you go out there and be intentional about loving the people that you're working with on a day-to-day basis, that is a purpose in and of itself, instead of trying to drive towards a purpose for a business, that the business purposes will take care of themselves if you are loving people intentionally and trying to help them be better individuals and help them grow. That you'll find that it kind of trickles down as far as business will take care of itself and you'll continue to flourish.
And I would say one of the things that I love about intentional marriages is that they do a really good job of helping give practical tools for effective communication. And so that's something that I always love hearing about from them and reading about, because they give the practical real life scenario of, okay, how do we apply this effective communication stuff? And the other thing is just the concept of finding mentorship, finding community, finding a place that is going to uplift you as you're trying to pursue healthy marriages, as you're trying to pursue healthy living, healthy life. Danielle has been really good about promoting that for me personally and in our marriage. And then I will add a third, that they're really good at encouraging people to make a budget. And that's something that we were both very independent about when we first got married, and we're still kind of working on figuring out how to do that together. But they do a good job of reinforcing it, and so we're aware of it, and it at least keeps us on the balls as far as trying to get ourselves on track with having a clear budget with our finances.
If you made it this far in the video, bravo, because you heard great principles we could all use in our marriages. We know how much work it takes to have a healthy marriage, yet putting the work in somehow is a sign of failure. Take a page out of Michaela and Matt's marriage and either invest in counseling or find a marriage mentor to support your marriage goals. You won't get there without a roadmap. Ladies, looking for a way to be held accountable with an encouraging community of women? Join my Wives Who Thrive workshop by booking a call to learn more. Here's a video where I share how counseling can be the best transformative experience in your marriage. Remember, to have an extraordinary marriage, be intentional. I'll see you in the next video. Bye-bye.